It is about that time. SNL, Andrew Locker, Cody Stutes with you, and starting tomorrow, football season begins. It's gonna take us through the better part of half a year, and all will be right in the world. Training camp tomorrow. We'll get into CJ Stroud. How much does the success of the Texans rest on these shoulders of CJ Stroud? Some other nuggets to look at, things to look for tomorrow. But as we approach training camp, what are we watching early on, Cody? Obviously, there's only so much you can watch. What are we watching for early on in training camp?
Well, I'd love to see, and pads, no pads, whatever. I'd love to see the offense definitively win a day, because they definitively won approximately one day last year. Like, they scored one victory over the defense in the entire run of training camp last year. So I'd love to see the offense have a couple of big days. And that would go a long way, because we both think pretty highly of what this defense can be and what this defense is. So that's a super high level, big picture thing. But I'd love to see the offense have some winning days, because they didn't have very many of them last year.
How many? Like, I feel like you're asking just one winning day?
Have one winning day in the first week.
Okay, one in the first week. Okay. That still might be a lot to ask.
I might be asking for too much, but my God, it was one win the entire training camp last year. So if they get to two, that's doubling last year's number. So they got to get to one before they get to two.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think that's like a terrible thing. We do have questions about the offense, but this defense is going to be really, really, really good. So I think that's just kind of it's as much of a praise of the defense as it is the questions when it comes to the offense. But I do anticipate we see a lot of that. I think the first thing that we look at is Jimmy Ward out there? I don't think he will be. Is Trent Brown? Maybe we can get into that a little bit later. What if he is out there? What does that look like? Where is he at? Joe Mixon, is Joe Mixon going to be out there practicing? Christian Harris is obviously someone else that you got to kind of wonder about. But that's really what I want to hear what they say about Jimmy Ward, and I want to see what the status is of Joe Mixon and if we see him out there, because there's been a lot of whispers about whether or not Joe Mixon is going to be good to go.
Yeah, if Mixon starts on physically unable to perform and he's got to work back into the starting running back spot, so be it. As long as he's there before training camp ends. I mean, yes, there is a new offense that he's got to learn. He's got to get used to new offensive linemen and whatever else the challenges of a new offense present for him. He's also a well-respected and accomplished veteran that I'm not too worried about him picking some of those things up. I don't want him to miss all the training camp, but he missed a good stretch last year, and he ended up still being a pretty good football player. And plus, if Mixon's not there, it allows everybody behind him to go to battle for the spots behind him, and maybe Nick Chubb can create some confidence. Maybe Damian Pierce can claw and scratch his way onto this roster. Maybe Woody Marks can show he's more than a third down running back. Like, more opportunities to go around if Joe Mixon's not there for the first few days.
Yeah, I just kind of I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what that looks like. Like I don't know what the backup running back spot looks like, Like there's a lot of uncertainty there when it comes to it, but I also don't know what Joe Mixon's going to look like and if he's going to be good to go and what he's going to look like in this system, which we'll get to in a sec. On the soup, Mr. HD Traveler doing his thing. You ain't never had swarm. Happy training camp, mi amigo. Happy training camp, mi amigo.
Good to see you, my friend.
I have a couple questions about CJ Stroud. I have 5 about him, but I want to also touch on some stuff like bigger picture that will shape up in season.
This is technically the quarterback position review, but we don't really need to spend time on Mills, Slovis, and Mertz.
The quarterback's always the default. We spend a hell of a lot of time talking about CJ Stroud. By the way, I feel like Slovis might put on a clinic with Mertz. I feel like the one thing that Keon Slovis needed to look good was Graham Mertz. Mike brought that up the other day, and I was just like, you know what? I really haven't put much thought into Graham Mertz outside of that fake looking knee that he has. But he sucked in college, man. Like that's the thing that I don't think, just to put it bluntly, he was not good.
Yeah, my favorite part about Graham Mertz is it was a total waste of a draft pick and he shouldn't be on the team. And then my other favorite part about Graham Mertz is he gets you excited about Keaton Slovis, who you constantly call Keon Slovis. Like, there's nothing Keon about Keaton Slovis. Let me tell you. He's about as white as they come.
Yeah, he looks like he's about to get a ping pong paddle, a frat ping pong paddle right against his ass every time he's like walking around. It looks like a pledge or something like that. That's gonna have to go pick up an active. He is very broed out.
Yeah,
but
so there's not much to talk about with those guys.
I wonder how dependent are the Texans in CJ? How much do they depend on CJ?
Yeah, this is a good question that is a scary one to think about because nobody feels good about anybody's team with the starting quarterback not there. But if you felt like you had an awesome defense, which I tend to believe we both do, and you felt like there was a lot of talent on the offense, I know there's some depth questions here and there, but Collins and Mixon and things like that, you maybe could, they could cobble it together for a couple of games without CJ Stroud. But I do feel like the ceiling is pretty limited overall. If they don't have CJ Stroud, a good CJ Stroud puts them on a really high ceiling. So I think they are reliant on him to go to, like, he's got to be excellent for them to go to the next level, in addition to various other things about this team. So to go to that next level, he's going to have to be excellent at the quarterback position. So to get to where they want to go, they need a lot out of CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, I agree with what you're saying. Whenever they play Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo, or whatever, like, God willing, in January or February, that you're obviously going to depend on him. But I almost feel like they've put together a squad that is such to where I think you can win 9-10 games without him being great. I almost think you can win a playoff game without him being great, like with how good the defense is. Now, are they going to be able to run the ball? They really weren't able to last year, and they were still able to do it. So I'm not saying that to kind of minimize it. I'm more so saying it because I think I don't think it's going to be a CJ Stroud has to be awesome every single week for them to win type of situation, which is ideal for where they're at right now. So I do agree with you. Like in the big scheme of things, if you want to reach your ceiling and your goal, there's that. But I think the team is built such to where he doesn't have to be awesome every single week. And I think that's a coach's dream. That's a GM's dream. That's a fan's dream. I think that means you've kind of put together a pretty good roster.
If he's somewhere between 2023 and 2024, he's just somewhere between those two, not as bad as 2024, not as good as 2023, they should still win the AFC South and probably could win a playoff game depending on who the opponent is that comes to NRG Stadium. That's what I feel like they have created as a team. I don't know if they're going much further than that. And they might be in a little bit of a dogfight just, with a Colts team or a Jaguars team if Stroud's somewhere between 2023 and 2024. Like, to go beyond, he's got to be much better than 2023 Stroud.
On the super chat, it's an interesting question. I like questions like this. Colton asks, "You ain't never hate Swarm. What's your ideal mix and match combo for our unis?"
I bet the red jerseys with white pants would look awesome.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the all whites. So I love the all whites. That's just kind of mine, but I guess that's not mix and match. Technically, I hate the home uniforms. I think the home uniforms suck. I don't think they're very much different than what they had before. And quite frankly, I think they might actually be worse. So I wasn't a fan of that. I would have gone more non-traditional. And I think they did. I think that was kind of a Cal McNair thing where Cal kind of wanted to keep it a little bit traditional. But I think they did a good job with the loud uniforms. I don't think they did a terrible job with those. So they definitely have some sick uniforms. The Reds, you can never go wrong with the red helmets. There's never any complaints. It seems like the players like that the most.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen him red tops, white pants on Christmas last year. They ultimately did go with that, and felt like that was a big mistake.
Yeah, well, Christmas wasn't great.
No, maybe it's good I didn't see that. It would have ruined red and white for me.
What will the Nick Caley offense be? It's Bill O'Brien's offense. Like, I know this is not the most popular thing, but it's definitely Bill O'Brien's offense. Now, does that mean that there's going to be a hybrid element to it where maybe they're, the Ram? I use the Rams example where they used to run zone and then they ran gap. Like, they've kind of rotated between like the running scheme of that, and they're not necessarily married to one style. But it's Bill O'Brien's offense. Like, it is. Like, John Mechie said it, and so did Andrews, and they both played for Bill O'Brien. So that you have the offensive lineman and you have a wide receiver saying that this is Bill O'Brien's offense. So they've kind of crept back to that, but they've also said that there's kind of a West Coast element to it as well. Now, the one thing about the Bill O'Brien offense, and I did this stream the other day talking about it, like, the biggest complaints about the O'Brien offense were the terminology. I've talked to a number of players who say it's difficult to sell. It's almost like taking a test. Andrews did say on his interview with Texans radio that the terminology is different. So hopefully it's a little bit more simple for the offensive linemen. The week to week kind of got a little bit out of control. There really wasn't much of an identity. And this is the other thing. Sometimes I felt like Deshaun Watson was asked to do a little too much at the line of scrimmage. And I know we talk about CJ Stroud and more control and stuff in the Bill O'Brien offense that we know. And it might have as much to do with the play caller as anything, but it did feel like, they were snapping the ball with like 1 second left. I wish I would have had the stats. Like, it almost felt like every time they snapped, it was like 1 second left on the play clock or something like that. So it's here. I don't know what it's going to look like, if it's just going to be an element of it, but it's direct quotes from two players who've played in Bill O'Brien's offense and have, in a short time, run Nick Caley's offense.
Yeah, I don't doubt that there's going to be some familiarity and some benchmark elements that are crossovers. What I remember from watching O'Brien and the very limited stuff we've seen from the offseason workouts, does feel like there's going to be a lot more motion and a lot more guys in motion at the time of the snap than we have seen in a long time around these parts. So that's a positive. And I know a lot of younger offenses or younger offensive minds in the league have sort of used that a couple different times as a small advantage or a small edge against defenses. And there was the big conversation, it was last offseason or 2 off seasons ago, about what is motion at the snap, and the NFL was trying to crack down on that, and ultimately they didn't do a damn thing about it, and guys still did it. So that's an element that we're not going to see as much in practice, because ultimately that's going to be about executing that in the game. But we saw enough of it in the offseason workouts that part of it at least felt drastically different than just the last couple of years that we've watched, and it felt different than some of those O'Brien years where stuff felt kind of stagnant sometimes.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels might be another good example to kind of look at. I know that Nick Caley kind of idolizes his dad. Didn't he say he idolizes Josh McDaniels' dad's the one that's like a legend in high school in Ohio?
I think so. Yeah.
Did I make that up? So it could be a Josh McDaniels factor. He also, the fullback was in McDaniels' offense. So, they've brought in some guys that have been kind of familiar with that. So could be more McDaniels. And look, McDaniels, pretty good OC. I know that he's not a head coach, but the job that he did with Mac Jones, it got him the second opportunity, much to the dismay of the Raiders. So there could be a McDaniels element of it. And really it could be a fluid process and kind of change. So we'll keep a close eye on that.
McDaniels. And then I do wonder, just, McDaniels with a little element of McVay's adjustments sprinkled in. You can convince me that's a good offense.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I do wonder exactly, like, the Stroud control at the line of scrimmage conversation will be interesting, because is it one of those things where as he handles X, does he get X plus, or do they give him everything and then take stuff away as he can't handle? That's something that's fascinating to try to figure out and determine throughout the course of the process too.
Yeah, do you think this hits or not?
Nick.
I think it's warming up with people. It's not as fun as Damn It Bobby, but I think it's kind of hitting a little bit. Especially like imagine like after a game, like we're on the post game show, locker room post game show, and Nick Caley's just put together a gym.
Nick.
Kind of hits. It doesn't hit with like the mystery. I think it hits. Let me know, chat. Does it hit or not? Are you?
I like it.
I know it will never. Nothing will ever hit like this. Okay, I get it.
Damn it, Bobby.
But it's not going to be topical once he starts calling the plays. But yeah, I think the Nick will start hitting. Let us know, chat. But what will the Caley offense be? He might not even know at this point, but it'll be fun to watch. Next little story as we preview training camp, which begins manana. By the way, I don't know that I could have had another footballist day. I feel like we made it all the way. Like we made it all the way, but I do feel like if it were 2 sleeps till camp, I don't know if I'm making it. This is like, I need this in my life. Like everything's better when football season's here. Everything's better. I love my daughter more. I love my wife more. I love them max, but it's super max. It's like an NBA super max. Like they're on a max contract. Now they're basically getting that super max when it's football season. The weather's better. The food tastes better. The water, the shower, like everything is better during football season. And I don't know how much longer I could have gone without it. And Cody Stutes is kind of creepily frozen there on the thing. It is SNL. Training camp does begin tomorrow. I think Cody was a little bit mesmerized there. Yeah, you love your family more. You love everything more during football season. Everything's better during football season. 100,000%. You bet. Brian on the chat says last year Bobby Slowick sucked bad. He couldn't change in-game strategy. If we were running it and they lined up in goal line protect, he'd just say we didn't get the look we wanted. Yeah, and I asked him what the hell that meant when Bobby Slowick said we couldn't get the look that we wanted. Because it almost just felt a little bit ridiculous after a while. And he gave like a 3-minute answer on it, but it seemed like either you weren't prepared, either the other team was one step ahead, or it was just kind of that BS coaches speak that made no sense. So yeah, I agree with you on that. Colton, that is the perfect look of Stutes. Someone clip Stutes back there talking about football season. Stutes might have had to leave the room talking about football season, if we're being honest. I think Cody had to leave the room. Oh, there he is. Wow.
Who are we?
We're just talking about Bobby Slowick sucking. Alberto on the chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
He says, if CJ isn't better than his rookie year, is he even the guy then? Should we extend him? He's getting extended no matter what. Like if he does, like he's getting extended no matter what. He's good enough to where he's going to warrant that. So yeah, there's no scenario where CJ doesn't get extended unless you unless Graham Mertz is freaking Tom Brady. But nope. We all know that's
even then CJ gets extended. Like at the very minimum that CJ Stroud is getting is exactly what Trevor Lawrence got. Like CJ Stroud could go out there and weed down his leg for half the season. He's going to get Trevor Lawrence's contract.
More like Bomb Brady.
I might, you know how Amon-Ra St. Brown memorized all the wide receivers that went ahead of him?
Yeah, and he miscounted.
That's besides the point. I might memorize every offensive lineman that went after Graham Mertz just so I can remember who they are for the rest of time in case one of these guys hits, and we can talk about how Nick Caserio wasted a pick on Graham Mertz.
Yeah, you hated the Mertz thing.
Thomas Fedoni went after Mertz. We love Fedoni.
HD AV Traveler has a really good point. Bob Tack is what Cody needs. Yes, he does, because he hasn't been very safe today. And we see him going in and out. You look at all these products, just look at all this stuff that Bob Tack has. Like all these safety supplies, best prices possible, even some stuff that you can use around the house. They've been doing it for 45 years. Bobby's been doing his thing. 409-744-8225. 409-744-8225. You can text that number, and they got you covered. The maritime, the dock, the trucking, all that type of stuff, chemical plants, 24/7. You can get them. You pay less, you get more. They get it done. A lot of big companies claim to get it done. They don't get it done like Bob Tack. 24/7, locally owned and operated. Let's keep these companies alive. They're cheaper, they're better, and they don't rely on AI and BS prices. PPE related, oil, hazmat, all that, they got you covered. Shout out to Bob Tack.
Yeah, browse the website. You see something you like, give them a call. You see something that you need, or you have something you need that's not on the website, they can still get it for you. Local free delivery. They can ship it. It's great.
Cody looks like a regular Nintendo. Cody looks like a regular Nintendo guy. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
The hamster fell off the Wi-Fi wheel. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?
Tay says you got the McDonald's Wi-Fi. Cody is a weasel who will bring his laptop into a McDonald's or something like that and work. I
don't go to McDonald's, but I'm not afraid to bring my laptop into an establishment and work.
Yeah, a sports bar. It's the worst.
Oh, yeah. God forbid someone gets some work done.
Nah, you just go in and drink if you're right. So Trent Brown has been cleared for football activities. That was some of the news that we got yesterday as we were logging off. They signed a corner too. We'll let you know about him. I don't really have like a strong take. But Trent Brown cleared for football activities. I mean, surely he can't still play, right? Like I like in a perfect world, if this were 3-4 years ago or whatever, like you'd probably be intrigued, but he's been active on the sidelines, but surely Trent Brown isn't capable of being a contributor, right?
My Wi-Fi's got to be more reliable than his knee right now. I mean,
maybe, I don't know.
It just, I don't see how, with the injury that he suffered, his size, what you'd be asking of him, I don't know how he's going to find his way onto this roster. And there's not like some just amazing level of talent that he's got to beat out, but there are some worthwhile bodies that he'd have a hard time stepping over to be the fourth tackle on this team. So when you think about Cam Robinson, Blake Fisher, and Ariante Ursary, that's the three tackles that are, you would think for sure on this team. And there's one spot left at tackle between Trent Brown coming off a serious knee injury, Zach Thomas, who's healthy, Austin Deculus, who's healthy, or an additional guard or interior offensive lineman, because in a pinch, if you had to, Titus can play tackle. It's like Trent Brown's got quite the hurdle, in addition to his injury, to clear to make this roster.
Yeah, for sure, man. There's no doubt about that.
I can't do anything about the Wi-Fi. So you can make we can have all the fun we want in my experience. I can't do anything about it. My little phone is chugging along as best it can. So if I sound like a robot and I sound like a transformer right now.
You sound good now. You sound good. Welcome. You've got mail. Remember those chat rooms back in the day, the AOL chat rooms? You go in there and like talk wrestling or like TV and stuff like that.
I don't even want to know what dirty, filthy things you were doing in the AOL chat rooms.
No, well, I mean, back in that day, kids these days, they have the porn like right here. And back in the day, though, you had to make a commitment. Your mom was gonna get bombarded with pop-ups, but you just had to make the sacrifice. Hey, you were either committed to the bid or you weren't. Wait, what? I accidentally clicked that link. Wait, what? I didn't know that.
And then The other thing where you thought you were covering your tracks, but then when they show up and there's no internet history, it's like, well, why'd the history get wiped? It's like, I don't know.
Yep. Old school. So I have 5 questions about CJ Stroud. And I am not hating on AOL chat rooms. I can promise you those were sick, man. It was good conversation, good dialogue.
You could sort by
back in the day.
topic too. Like you could easily find like-minded individuals.
Those were tight. So I have 5 questions about CJ Stroud heading into 2025. And then this will be the final installment of SNL before business picks up. And we will be giving practice reports like only we can give them to you starting tomorrow with the night streams, with our normal channels, all that type of stuff. Content doesn't stop. It's heavy. There's always a video a day, no matter what, but business is about to pick up. This is one of the funnest times. I'm really excited to go to West Virginia too. Really excited to go to West Virginia, but I will enjoy these next 10 days of practice before we make that trip 2 Sundays from now to good old WV. So question numero uno. Is the shoulder going to be okay? Look, I get it that maybe D'Amico thought we over-exaggerated. It's just been a thing for a long time. And I just hope that the shoulder is going to be okay. Sometimes when you get hints laid out for you, you've got to at least acknowledge them and kind of put them in the holster for if something happens. So I will be watching CJ Stroud's shoulder. Anytime he gets tackled on his shoulder, I will be watching it. Anytime CJ Stroud is not throwing the ball as precisely as CJ Stroud is used to throwing the rock, I will be watching his shoulder. It's been a thing since Ohio State. Nothing major. He said he had supernatural healing when he was at Ohio State after week 1. But I want to know, is the shoulder going to be okay? Because it is not something that is going to escape my mind based on not just this past array of offseason activities, but based on the entire CJ Stroud experience since he first kind of came into our vision. But yeah, it was on our TV screen.
Yeah, I mean, just he's got the history, and it's something that he'll have to deal with, and we'll always be cognizant of. And they made it a much bigger deal in the offseason workouts than it needed to be.
Question number 2. Will he thrive doing what he said he needed to do? Do you remember what CJ Stroud said he needed to do better this year?
I do not.
He said he needs to do better at controlling what he can control. Does that mean getting rid of the ball quicker? Does that mean recognizing things? Does that mean not getting too high and low whenever things don't go perfectly? Don't know. But I'll take him at his word. Did seem like at times there was a little bit of a non-charismatic CJ presence last year. And it was kind of a Debbie Downer type of vibe. So will he thrive doing what he said he needed to do is question number 2.
If he can operate in only his bubble, then that would probably be a good thing. And he can't make those 5 big uglies in front of him block. He's just going to have to trust them. And he said he trusted the organization blindly and with the trust that they've earned. So.
Yeah, the have fun quote, all that. Yes. Question 3 about CJ. Who will be receiving option number 2? We know who number 1 is. There's no questions about that. It's number 12. But we also know that number 12 has missed literally a full season in 4 years. He's literally missed 17 games. In 4 seasons, Nico Collins has missed 17 games. And even when he is out there, whether it's a tight end, whether it's a receiver, whether there's some sort of like rotation where this guy does this guy, who will be receiving option number 2? That is question number 3.
I strongly believe it's going to be Christian Kirk because of
Captain Kirk, can you save me? Captain Kirk, I want to have your baby.
Because of the usefulness of slot position and the way Nick Caley's hopefully going to operate this offense and his ability to get open and win quickly and the success that Kirk's had before from the slot position, and that's who I believe is going to be wide receiver number 2. What's the finger guns mean?
I'm playing Duck Hunt on your screen. Question 4. Question 4. Does more control mean a good thing? CJ Stroud says that he wants more control. I think Nick Caley said he's going to give him more control. Is that necessarily a good thing? Like, does that end up being a good thing? I don't have a definitive answer here. I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying, just because you get more control doesn't mean that it's a good thing. Like, there have been teams that have had success without a quarterback having a ton of control. Now, I think Jared Goff's kind of was the original example of that. But at Detroit, that's kind of changed. Like, they have a lot of trust in Jared Goff, more than McVay did with him with the Rams. Brock Purdy also is not doing much at the line of scrimmage. So does this more control thing mean a good thing for CJ Stroud?
The way that it would be a bad thing is if he's bad at it. Like, he makes the wrong changes. He makes the wrong calls at the line of scrimmage. He audibles into bad plays. And if he does that enough, they'll just take the control away. They're not just going to let him go out there and continue to be bad at that. And Stroud's, I wonder if he was vocal enough about wanting some of those things heading into year 2, and maybe he didn't need to be vocal about them because everything worked as well as it did in year 1. He claims he had a lot more control in previous offenses that he'd run, and he mentions the Ohio State offenses, and to get a positive when he does have control.
For sure. Question 5. Will the legs be used consistently? CJ Stroud uses the legs in big games. Need to see a little bit more consistent, especially if you're trying to get home field advantage. There's times where if CJ just took what the defense gave him with his legs, it can be the difference in winning and losing a game. And you see him crank it up a notch whenever it matters most. I do think that's a good thing. Saw it against Kansas City last year. Did a good job using the legs. And then obviously the Ohio State Georgia game, which kind of is looked at as like his most heroic performance, even though it came in a defeat. Is he going to use the legs more consistently? I think that's the next question.
Yes, I hope he does. He said he was going to. So we'll see how many of the CJ Stroud promises are going to pay off. It does to me. It just always has rung in the back of my mind that he basically admitted he thought it was going to be easy in year 2, and he got a reality check in year 2. And so I hope that really reset the deck and cleared the mechanism for him going into year 3. And he understands the type of challenges that the NFL is going to present on a consistent basis to him.
No doubt. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember, whether the Wi-Fi is trucking along or it's on cruise control, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
How come it didn't hiccup during the trademark catchphrase? Kind of feel like you were laying out on me there.
That's not true.